Welcome to Tuesday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. It is day 2 of the joint practices between the Detroit Lions and the Giants here in East Rutherford at the Quest Diagnostics Training Center. And it was another glorious, sun-filled afternoon. The rains that are supposed to be coming up here to North Jersey have apparently held off. They allowed these teams to get their work in for the second straight day. And we're going to talk about it over the next hour. 201-939-4513 is our phone number here. If you were here, call us up. Tell us what you thought you saw. We'll converse. If you weren't here, call us up. Ask us about what we saw, and we'll be glad to explain it to you. We're here for the next hour once again at 201-939-4513. And if you missed this show live, you can catch the archive and our entire podcast network on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcasts. I'm Paul Dottino at Giants WFAN. He is Super Bowl champ, 2-time Jonathan Casillas at JCasillas52.
Yes, sir.
Which, by the way, were you always 52 in college too?
No, I wore number 2 in college.
You were 2 in college?
Yeah, I had number
I never asked you that.
46 my freshman year, excuse me.
No kidding.
And then number 2 after that. Yeah.
But you like 52?
Yeah, I mean, I watched a lot of Ray Lewis. You know,
good reason.
Watched him a lot in high school, and then to get me ready for all the, mentally ready for all the games, I used to watch his highlights and how we talked. And yeah, 52 is a good look, man. It's a great line record number.
I like it. It's a good number.
Some good 52s play here.
No problem with that. Yeah. We'll start with Pepper Johnson.
Pepper Johnson, yes, sir. Yeah.
So Jonathan and I will be here for the next hour, and again, we'll talk Giants football. All right, so let's go over quickly, recap of today. First things first, overall grade for the day, I think the Giants had the edge. Yesterday, it was pretty much a draw all the way down the middle. You know, I love to compare boxing and football, and yesterday you had 2 teams going at it, and when the scorecards came in, I really believe it was a draw. Today, I think the Giants won a split decision.
Okay.
I really do.
I like that.
And I got an opportunity to watch the one-on-one defensive line against the offensive line drills. I thought the edge was to the Giants. They stoned the Lions across the board early in that drill.
Yep, right before I met up with you. Yep.
Then you tracked me down on the sideline, and then we started to watch, and then all of a sudden the Lions won 4 reps in a row. But here's the thing, okay, it was against Stinney, Van Roten, and then some of the other backups. It wasn't against the Giants' top guys of Thomas or Illuminor, okay? And obviously John Michael Schmidt's still not able to work at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give the edge to the Giants in the offensive defensive line drills. While that was going on and we were attentively watching that, on the other field, which we just couldn't watch everything at once, they did do the combo blocks.
Yeah, they did.
And the combo rushes. I'm sorry, folks. You can only watch so many things at once. I decided that it was more important to watch the offensive defensive line straight on.
Yeah, but you also
one-on-ones.
flipped the other day, right? You watched the opposite.
The other day I watched the Giants defensive line in one-on-ones against the Lions offensive line. So today I flipped.
Yeah.
I could not get into the combo blocking drill today.
I glanced over there a couple times. I told you.
Let them know.
A couple times I saw a big old 97 pushing one of their guys back until their, like, where they were hanging out at. And that's usually 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
You mean all the way to Little Ferry?
Yeah. He was in Sea Caucus.
Okay.
Dexter Lawrence was picked. Do you know how strong you have to be to move a 320-pound man 30 feet? Because that's exactly what he did.
You got to be 340.
You got to be Dexter Lawrence. That's what you got to be. So we didn't, really focus on them because we were looking at the other side, which was the Giants' offensive line against the defensive line for the Lions. But like I said, when I glanced over there, 97 was holding it down every time.
Yeah, well, no surprise.
Yeah.
So we're going to go check mark Giants.
Okay.
On the line drills, because I'm going to take your word for it that the Giants held their own in whatever other reps you were able to see. So we'll go there, check mark Giants. Clearly in the team drills, all the different 11-on-11s, I'll be honest with you. I thought each team made a small handful of plays, and I pretty much called that a draw. Although I will tell you, Daniel Jones and Malik Neighbors had it going today.
Yeah.
They threw several completions, and Neighbors' route running and his ability to find space or create space is off the charts.
I mean, he's not only emerging as the playmaker for the New York Giants, but he's emerging as a potential star in this league that's full of stars, that's full of, big play potential guys like him that come out of LSU or whatever. And he's kind of floating in that neighborhood from what he's putting out. Paul, every single day I've been at practice, he's made plays.
It's hard
every
to
single
ignore.
Day.
I mean, he's
every day.
Right. And to say that he's physically as gifted as advertised is an understatement.
Yeah, it is. Yep. He's everything. As of right now, of course, knock on wood, his health has to be there. But as of right now, he was worth every penny of that 6th pick overall. He was a great pick for the New York Giants, and he's proven that day in and day out. And I talked to Kelvin Shepard. Me and him have a great relationship. We talked about him prior on the show.
I talked to him yesterday.
From years prior.
Pros pro, by the way.
And yeah, I mean, he's awesome. And he loves that team over there, Detroit. And he believes in that team over there, which is good because they got a good thing going on over there. But I told him about Neighbors, and he was like, oh, I know. He was like, oh, I know about him. So, it's not only giving us an impression as guys that are watching him almost on a daily basis, but also the opponents that are, now going against him. Detroit was really the first team that got exposed to this kid since he's been in the league.
Right.
So that's a good thing. What I didn't like, a couple plays that I seen from the Giants defense, where it was a running back one time in the red zone, and it was, I think it was more move the ball, so it was lower on the field, maybe between the 40s. And it was a wide open wide receiver and a wide open running back. And both of those were for touchdowns.
Both of them busted coverages.
Busted coverages. Like
no
they didn't do
it.
a route or anything that beat somebody. They left them wide open.
Well, I was going to get to the negatives in a minute.
My bad.
I was sticking with the positives.
Sorry. My bad.
I was going to get to it.
We can stay with the positives. I'm sorry.
No. We'll take a time out here.
That's what resonated in me.
We'll go to the negatives.
Okay.
The negatives were, for the second straight day, there were a small group of busted coverages that each went for a big play.
Yep.
Both days that happened.
Yep. That's not good. I mean, it's good to get it out the way now, but in season, those are touchdowns. Those are big change of game type of plays, and that's totally unacceptable. Mm-hmm. And I know Shane Bowen is not going to accept that. But it's a new defense. Terminology's, a little tricky when you get a new defense. Everybody has to learn this new language that this defensive coordinator is now speaking. So I definitely expect there to be some mistakes, but like you said, 2 days in a row, guys just left totally uncovered, and it didn't look like nobody was even close to covering them. So that's an issue, and I think that's just probably a lack of communication, maybe some terminology or verbiage, maybe is not articulated right. But I was standing next to, what's the kid name? He got the green hair. They call him the Green Goblin.
Mills.
Yeah.
Jalen
So
Mills.
He's out right now.
Right.
I was standing next to him, and he told one of the younger linebackers, he was like, watch the crack, watch the outside. He was on the sideline. And you know what the linebacker did? He took a step back. Communication is so important. Literally, and he probably seen the situation, but because somebody else said it, and now it's different when you're right in it than when you're looking at it from where we were at. We're on the sideline, and he said it. He was like, basically, watch the crack, watch the because they can change. It was a close split receiver and an offset back.
Okay.
The linebacker had the running back man to man, and the crack or the pick situation could happen. How do you do that? You step back to clear the pick, and that's exactly what he did. The reason why I'm saying that, because during those plays where that lapse of coverage happened, it was probably something that wasn't said. You know what I mean? It was something that wasn't said.
That would make sense.
Something that wasn't communicated. But in a new defense, stuff like that does happen. It's good to get that out the way now.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. So we did see, again, 2 days in a row now, we saw a couple of those, and that's not good. And those were the big plays that the Lions hit on, to be honest with you. Now, I would also mention the fact that Neighbors had such a great day today. went against Terry and Arnold, fellow SEC cornerback, highly rated cornerback. And it was very significant that he did what he did to find room against him. I just want to bring that back up after we just talked about Neighbors a minute ago.
Is that why it was so feisty out there?
Well, and that's the last part of this, because in the red zone, that's where the Lions won today.
Okay.
There's no question the Lions won the red zone drills today in terms of their runs and also their passing game. They did have the edge in the red zone drills today. Overall, though, I gave a split decision to the Giants for the overall body of work in today's session or events.
So are you're calculating the one-on-ones included with the team sessions?
I'm saying if you look at everything for the whole day,
got you.
I'm telling you where I thought the Giants had a small edge, and I'm telling you now, red zone edge, Lions. But the whole day, I'd say I think the Giants had a better day than the Lions did. Split decision. Close.
I got you.
But split decision.
I'll probably go the other way. I'll probably give the split decision to the Lions because of those couple laps of coverage.
Does the red zones bother you that much?
And then also, they were moving the ball, running the ball, like, kind of efficiently when the Giants were backed up in the red zone. Like the Lions,
red
like
zone
you said,
was Lions.
Their runs were like they weren't getting touched to the second level.
Oh, I know.
Like
I didn't like it.
Those are not good deals right there.
If I'm the Giants, I'm looking at that and I'm like, wait a minute. Now, yesterday, Giants red zone won.
Mm-hmm.
Today, Lions red zone won.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why I'm giving
put more emphasis on that, and that's okay.
On the Lions, yeah.
That's why boxing judges are always questioned after a fight, because nobody sees it the same way.
Yeah.
Now, here's the other thing that's important to note. We saw some ruffled feathers yesterday, a lot of sandpaper going on, to put it nicely. Today, there were 4 little abrasive moments during the latter part of practice.
I like the terminology you're using. I like it.
I'm trying to be as accurate and as colorful as possible without overstating.
Yep.
Okay? All of these fracases, if you would, were all toned down compared to yesterday's.
Yeah.
There were 4 of them late in practice, and then there was one in the kickoff drill at the very end when they actually shortened practice by 15 minutes as they were doing the live kickoff drill, because it was decided by the coaches, okay, enough is enough.
Okay.
And that's that. We're not going to let this escalate, and it's done.
Yeah.
Now, in talking to both coaches today, and I'm simply going to tell you what they said. You can respond as a former player how you wish. Both coaches said there was good intensity, good energy yesterday. Obviously, they don't want to see anybody get hurt, and they don't want to see anything exaggerate to a much higher level than what we saw. They know tempers will flare. They know things will get a bit sticky, and things will get a bit abrasive. I thought the one comment made by Dan Campbell, the Lions coach, was actually really very interesting. He said, part of the reason that I'm not a big fan of that stuff is because when something flares up, we got to get in, separate them, talk to the guys, tell them not to happen again, and we're losing valuable practice time because they only have so many snaps and so much time to do their plays. And he's like, we got to clean that stuff up. And both coaches said they wanted to clean it up because Campbell simply stressed that's lost practice time.
Yeah.
And that you can't get back.
Yeah. And the ultimate sin is losing a guy to that.
No question.
Somebody hurts their hand because they're hitting somebody in the face mask, or they get tangled up and twisted up and somebody falls and hurts something and blows something out. Like that'll be the ultimate sin, and you have to be able to put, the handcuffs on the guys a little bit, because at the end of the day in training camp, when you're going against your own guys, on a consistent basis over and over again, stuff definitely tends to boil up, Yep. Now you get some new guys in here that, they're going to come in here, and the Lions, they're a physical team, not just defensively, offensively too. And it's led by Amon-Ra St. Brown. And he plays with that physical. He plays like a linebacker at receiver, but what I think our rookie, Drew Phillips, matched his intensity for the last couple of days. They was kind of involved in some scrummies or whatever between them two. But I like that Drew Phillips did not back down from him at all. And as a rookie, I think that says a lot. You want to see a rookie that got that dog in him. You want to see a rookie that got that fight in him. Not literally fighting, and I know we talk about that a lot, but not that. But you like to see a guy that comes in that doesn't have to get pushed towards the edge. He's already there. He's already there, and he's ready to go. And I like that. And you can teach the other things. You can teach football to guys like that. It's really hard to teach a little puppy to be a big dog.
Well, what do you got in here?
Yeah, and he got it. Because we know Amon-Ra St. Brown got it.
Yeah.
He's proven it. He was all-pro this year. Not voted to the Pro Bowl, but all-pro. That means you're a dog. And he's one of those guys, and he's helped them get to, all the success that they've had in the last few years. Now the Giants need to go ahead and match that same type of energy that they got.
Play of the day, and we'll save this for last, and then we'll take your phone calls at 201-939-4513. Team drills, Daniel Jones, jump ball down the left sideline on a go route. Neighbors out fighting Arnold for the touchdown. Play of the day.
Yeah, beautiful ball. And the kid, when you throw that up to Neighbors, man, and Giants fans, y'all in for a treat. For real. Because when that ball's in the air, it's his. And listen, I tell young kids that, receivers, because a lot of receivers, they put it on their quarterbacks to, throw them the perfect ball. But we all know that doesn't really happen too much. When that ball is in the air and you're the target, that's your ball. You got to do something with it. Do not let that defensive back come down with it. And you need to get that ball. It's yours. When that ball's in the air, Neighbors has that mentality.
He talked about
that's my
after
ball.
practice. He talked about that.
That's no longer Daniel Jones's ball. It's mine.
Right.
And it's not the deep. It's my ball. And he goes at it with that mindset. And he goes up and get it. He can body catch. He can hand catch. The kid's he's phenomenal talent, man.
What's really interesting
Very excited watching him.
is that coming out of school, Rome Odunze was known as the contested ball king of this draft and had significantly better numbers on contested catches than Neighbors. Now, from one side of the argument, that is because Neighbors gets open a lot quicker and a lot easier than Odunze does. So maybe he faced a lot fewer 50-50 balls and a lot fewer contested balls, and therefore his number was a lot lower. You could absolutely make that case, and I would not deny that. But I will also say, Neighbors is showing the ability to make those contested catches out here. And Arnold had great coverage, but it was a perfect ball, and he won the fight. Yeah. He won the battle.
And both of those things that you hit on.
That says a lot.
The ability to get open and then also to make a contested catch. Those are crucial things that you have to do to play in the NFL.
It opens up the dig, and it opens up the back shoulder throw.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, which we saw last week that Daniel threw to Hyatt on one of those practices where Daniel Jones had a couple of great passes in a row. The Giants' offense needs this kid Neighbors, but we need Hyatt. We also need Wan'Dale. We need Daniel Jones in the offense to not be so, I wouldn't say, let's say modest. Let's not be so modest. As a defender, going against a team that doesn't like to go down the field, I can tell my safety, hey, man, be a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage for run. Let's be smart about these little spacing routes that they're doing, and let's be downhill when we're tackling. When you got a guy like Hyatt on one side and a guy like Neighbors on one side, and I know that quarterback is going to go deep, I'm going to tell my safety, hey, just relax on the run plays. Stay a little bit deeper, be a little bit softer, and that opens up a lot underneath.
That poor safety, though, who's he going to help on?
It depends, of course, what coverage they're in.
I know, but that could get sticky for him.
It can, and the Giants, I feel like the way they attacked, the offseason, the pieces that they brought in, securing up the offensive line, going after one of the better playmakers in the entire draft in Neighbors, they're setting themselves up to be a little bit more explosive than they were last year. And that's what the Giants need on offense. They have to get explosive on offense.
Okay. I have had this conversation and this, not a debate, but trying to figure this out with other hosts on the show. So I'm going to ask you right now. You're a defensive player, okay? How much tape, how much game action of Malik Neighbors do you think it's going to take before he can become that headache player that I always talk about, where now the defense has to constantly think about him as, that's the guy, it all starts with him. Is it going to take a month? Is it going to take 2 weeks? Is it going to take half a season? Well, you've seen the skills out. Now, you've seen the skills firsthand, not even on tape. How long do you think it could take him to become a headache player?
It depends. If the season opens up in the first 2 weeks, he has 20 targets and he has 14 catches.
You think it can happen that quickly?
It can happen that quickly, absolutely. Because 14 catches for that kid, that's a touchdown or two. That's a lot of yards on the back end of that. I think even if they're close catch, like a slant or a hitch, he can take those the distance. He can take those to get extra yards after the catch. He is that type of guy, but he has to get the targets. He has to get the ball thrown to him. Jalen Hyatt, we all understand how much of a deep threat he is. He proved it when he was in college. He showed us last year in training camp. How many targets did Jalen Hyatt have last year?
Not a whole lot.
So it's like, is he still a good player? Yes, he is. But is he scaring any defense? No, not when you're not getting targets.
So we see that Neighbors can blow by people. We've seen him run routes that create space. And we've also seen him get contested catches. That right there, that's 3 strikes and you're out as a defensive back.
Yeah.
Because that if he proves that in regular season games, those 3 things, he's a headache player.
Yeah. And you see what I said? I didn't say catches. I said targets. And I said it for a reason.
Right.
Because it doesn't take a catch.
Threat.
It doesn't take a catch to look at your defenders and be like,
whoa,
okay, guys, he had our DB beat by 3 yards.
Whoa.
Let's do something with him. The speed is a real factor in the NFL. And everybody's pretty fast in the NFL, from defensive linemen to offensive line and tight ends, quarterbacks. Like, everybody's running good times. Every now and again, you get that guy that's just a little bit faster than everybody else, that's a little bit more explosive than everybody else, and that has to have the defense manipulate what they normally do. And it might not even be something that they have in their playbook, but they have to change it for a guy on the outside. That's why that position is so valuable, because it can literally change the entire defense. Like, you go in and be like, all right, guys, the coverage that we have against these guys that we thought was going to work, it's not working.
No.
He's too explosive. He's too fast. Now we have to manipulate coverage in the middle of the game. I've seen it happen. I played against Megatron. We didn't have no answer for him. Are we doubling him? Yes, we are. We've been doubling him the whole game.
That's it.
And you can't do nothing with him. We have to figure this out. That's why they're getting paid as much money as they're getting paid
Hence
now.
the definition of headache player.
There it goes.
That's it.
Yep, that's it.
Folks, 201-939-4513. The phones are lighting up. We hope we gave you a good flavor over this first half hour of what happened over today, but also yesterday's Giants-Lions dual practice sessions. We go to the lines. Aiden from New Jersey is on line 1. You're first on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hi.
What's up, Aiden?
Good. JC, I knew I had a call after how much crap you gave me about my phone screen last week.
I told him to call in.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, so I want to ask you guys about Jalen Hyatt. Obviously, he's been having a good role in training camp and stuff. And last season, he really didn't have much of a role. I mean, the Giants had 3 different quarterbacks playing last year, and neither out of all 3, there really weren't that many deep balls. And now with the expanded receiver room, and now Malik Neighbors is obviously going to be the one. I was wondering what you guys think that Jalen Hyatt's what his role is going to be like in 2024.
All right, Aiden. Thanks for the phone call.
Thanks, Aiden.
I think we're both expecting more.
Yeah, facts. I mean, the kid, and look, when people was giving him crap about like he's only a deep threat, he could only run like 1 or 2 routes, and I'm not saying he is or he's not, but I'm saying, so what? So can you stop the 1 route that he runs? Because if you can't, I'm not going to tell him to run anything else. You know what I mean? So it's not about, what he can and can't do. Can you get him the ball? That's what the Giants did not do last year. The Giants did not get Jalen Hyatt the ball.
No. It
wasn't a lot of targets, and it wasn't a lot of catches. He didn't even get a lot of snaps in a lot of games. So hopefully this is his second year. Receiver. It's not an easy position. It's easy when you're a child and you're throwing the ball around and you're playing wide receiver. But when you get to the NFL, it's not as easy as you think it is. There's a lot of thinking involved in playing wide receiver. And it takes a while sometimes for people to catch on. I expect him to be a smarter player this year.
Right.
I expect him to be more intricate part in the offense this year. And he has the potential to be a headache player.
More physical,
because
too.
of his speed.
He's also put on a little
He
bit
did?
more meat.
He's still skinny to me.
Well, I get that. He says he's put on 10 pounds.
Good.
And he's got a little more definition and a little bit more beef on his frame, thinking that that's going to help him against some of these defensive backs who want to get into him and beat him up.
Yeah, because that's what they're going to do.
Well, they tried doing it last year.
Lankier
And they
guy.
say, hey, rookie, welcome to the NFL.
Yep. And I think, look, the Giants, when they go into these games, right, the Giants have to think, and this is I always believe in this, because as a defender, if you don't have the threat of explosive plays, it kind of makes it easy for the defense. But when you have the threat of explosive plays and you got those guys on the outside, like, it just opens up, I think, the playbook so much.
Without a doubt.
And it opens up the spacing on the field as well, too. Hyatt is a guy that can stretch the field. We know that. We seen it in college. I mean, he had 5 touchdowns against Alabama, against one of the better defensive teams ever in NCAA. And then he gets to the league. He doesn't have targets. Of course, he's not going to be that guy if he's not getting targets. But I think you keep him. I don't care if he run other routes. You keep him running deep the whole game. I don't care if you do anything else. As long as you take that shot a couple times to him, give him a couple targets.
I think the best way to describe it to you folks who may not totally understand what we're talking about, if I'm an offensive player, I got to get into his head. Okay, he's playing defense. I have to get him to respect me. Once I command your respect and I get your attention, now you have to think about it a second. That changes everything.
Yep. You said respect, and I was thinking. Like, when you were saying that, I was, as long as I'm thinking, that's good for the offense.
Yep.
Because defense, I tell my defenders.
I got to get into your head.
I tell my defenders, don't think. Just read and react.
Yep.
And the way you get to the process of not thinking is that you got to rep it over and over and over again. That's how you get in that process. Now you got somebody in front of you that you look and you say, okay, maybe I need to take a step back a little bit.
It.
That's when you're thinking.
That's it.
That's what's causing that, that hesitation in terms of, am I playing this as a safety or a corner? Am I flat-footed? Am I pressing this guy? Do I play him off? All of a sudden, he's running, and you're hauling butt out of there, but he stops running a hitch route, and you're 10 yards away.
That's right.
That's what happens when you have threats like Hyatt on the outside.
Back to the lines at 201-939-4513. Wilson in Roxbury. You're next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hey, Paulie, Jonathan, dímelo.
Dímelo,
Long
papi.
time, baby.
What's going on? ¿Qué tal?
All right. As soon as I saw you in Paulie, I said, I got to call. I got to say hi to Jonathan.
Appreciate it.
Hey, listen, man, you guys are great. What can I say? I work sometimes. I work at night, so I'm here. When I see you guys, I just have to call. Not all the time, because Paulie, I don't want to drive Paulie crazy. But just enough, man. Just enough. I just wanted to say hi. But hey, listen, real quick, couple of things on Daniel Jones and on the Giants in general. So, listen, I don't take too much stock, right, on preseason games. But I do take a little stock on this preseason game, and I'll tell you why. Because last year, right, when we played the Lions, I called up and I said, the gap and the difference in talent, it was perplexing, man. I mean, you could see it from a mile away.
Right.
I mean, from the second to the fourth stringers, the Lions were just 100 times better. I mean, it was. I mean, Paulie, you could see it. I mean,
yeah, and that showed during the first practice in Detroit last year too.
Exactly,
we did not see that during these 2 days this year. There was quite a difference.
Right. So what I'm hoping, Paulie and Jonathan, is that if we can, if we close the gap, man, I think we're on the right path, because Detroit is a top 5 team right now. I mean, it's hard to say that about the Detroit Lions, but they are a top 5, top 6 team. I mean, talent-wise, they're a very talented team. So if we can somehow close the gap, I think we can make a little bit of noise. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Wilson, I think it's important to note you're talking about the quality of the preseason games. We heard from both coaches today. Brian Dable said he won't decide about preseason snaps for this game until Wednesday night. So we don't know how he's going to deploy his guys.
He says that's when he's going to tell us.
No, he's not going to tell anybody. He's going to decide Wednesday night.
Yeah, he's going to tell us Wednesday night. Because he knows.
He's not telling anybody Wednesday. Because the media doesn't get to talk to him. This is the last day the media gets to talk to him now.
Okay.
There is no practice tomorrow. But tomorrow night, Dable said that's when he's going to sit down with the staff and figure out the snaps. Okay, so we don't know how many of the Giants' frontline players are going to play against Detroit. The only thing Dan Campbell would say is that Goff is not going to play in the game. Okay, Jared Goff, their starting quarterback, and that most of his other key starters will probably, at best, have limited snaps.
Okay.
That's all we know.
Right, but listen, what I'm saying, Paulie, is I'm not so much talking about the starters because that's only 1/3 of the team. What I saw last year was like from the second stringers to like the fourth stringers. That's where the gap was like perplexing, where there was like
the gap got wider, if that's what you're talking about.
That's what I'm saying.
And Wilson, you're making a great point, Wilson, because the NFL it's like a long season, but it's really not.
Yeah.
You only got 17 games, so it's not a lot of games to be played. But the season is long, and attrition is a factor. Who can stay healthiest? Who can stay healthiest at the positions that are valuable the longest? And when you don't have that depth, all of a sudden you get a couple of injuries. Your team looks like a shell of itself, by the middle of the season. So you made a great point, Wilson. And the Giants, I think they did a pretty good job in bringing in solid players.
I think so. I really think so too. I think so too, Jonathan. I really think that this year, man, we got depth. So like if a couple of starters go down, like the season's not over. Like last year, it was no point. But I think this year we did that. And one last thing though on Daniel Jones, I have this crazy feeling. I love Daniel, man. I think Daniel is physically he's a top 10 quarterback. He's got a top 10 arm. He's got probably a top running ability for a quarterback. He's got to be top 5. I have this crazy feeling though that this year is going to be, like a Pro Bowl type of. I don't know if he's going to make the Pro Bowl or be an All Pro, but he's going to show up and he's going to show a lot of people wrong. I really do, man. You can see it on the podium. You can see on the podium the confidence that this kid has. I haven't seen this side of Daniel since I've been, since this rookie season. And thanks a lot for
thanks, Wilson.
Call. Jonathan, I see you later, baby. It was nice talking to you.
Right,
and
brother.
You too, Paulie.
Take care.
Don't get jealous.
201-939-4513. I will say this. I see Wilson's point. Daniel Jones has a chip on his shoulder. He's loaded for bear, and he does have a very strong intensity, if you will, about trying to make sure that he is the Giants' quarterback. And he's determined. He's very, very determined to go out there and prove it. Because, as we discussed, look, the way the cap works, it would be a painful, digestive thing for the Giants to have to part with him at the end of the year. But it is doable. Mm-hmm. So if he doesn't put up this year, his future becomes very cloudy. He knows that.
Yep. It's a big year. Big year for Daniel Jones.
And I think he's embracing that challenge.
Yep.
I believe that.
It sucks because, and I say it sucks because coming off an injury, it's like when you first get out there, when the live bullets start flying and you first get out there and all of a sudden you realize you're not that guy. When I say not that guy, Daniel Jones' running efficiency and his run game has been a strong point for his whole entire game. And then it may not be, like totally innate, but just losing a half a step.
He looks like he's gained half a step now.
But that little, because usually it's a little, it's a half a little, if that's there, that could be hard for even all the confidence and the motivation and the inspiration that he had going into the season. That could be debilitating for a guy, but I don't think Daniel Jones is cut from that cloth. I told Kelvin, I said, I think Daniel Jones is one of the toughest guys in the league. not just like physically, mentally. I think he's mentally a strong person.
I think all the adversity has helped gain strength for him.
Yes, 100%.
I absolutely believe that.
To play quarterback.
That's how it worked with Phil Simms.
Right. To play quarterback for this franchise in this area of the country, you have to be tough, not just physically, mentally. And throughout the decades, the Giants have had some tough quarterbacks that played here.
No doubt.
Eli Manning being the toughest one. I mean, he went, 200 and something straight starts? That's insane.
Both Phil and Eli were
when
as
you,
tough as
But when you look
come.
at a guy like Daniel Jones, and the reason why the Giants went to go get a guy like that was because he had a lot of similarities to the great Eli Manning. And he had that mental toughness and that physical toughness that you saw.
Big part of it, man.
You know, so that has a lot to do with how people play here in New York. You know, like I understood that when I got here because I'm from here.
Yeah. You're
It's a different mentality that you got to have when you're here.
No doubt.
You know, it's not just a physical thing. It's the mental part and then dealing with the media. You know, they write you off after 1 or 2 games here. But that's just how it is. And I love it. I embrace it. That's why I'm still here.
What do our elders tell us when we're little kids? Life isn't fair.
Right.
It's just the way it is, and you've got to find a way to break through and survive.
Yep.
It's just that simple. Jay in Phoenix, you're next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Well,
right.
How are you?
Doing great. First and foremost, as you guys are talking about Daniel Jones, if you guys have any influence over him keeping that beard, have him do it. It seems to have added a little snarl, a little edge. I like it.
Okay.
I really like it. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. It's been interesting seeing the practices with the Lions and seeing how, you know, these skirmishes keep breaking out. And again, football fights, and Jonathan, you know better than anybody, you know, hitting guys with each other in the helmet with their hands and stuff like that. It seems a little crazy. But the shoving, the pushing, I like seeing that the Giants are pushing back. You know, it just seems like, and sometimes they're instigating. It looked like on a couple of them they were instigating. But I like seeing the physicality and the willingness to stick up for each other and push back in the Lions.
Well, there'll be a dual practice with the Jets down at Florham Park in a couple of weeks. And that'll be the 1 day, by the way, only 1 day, not 2 days, only 1 day. And that'll be it for the dual practices for the summer. Now, here's what I will tell you, and this will be news to you folks. I don't think anybody has revealed this yet, but it's in the CBA because I talked to someone within the league who gave me the specifics. If the league does go to 18 games, and I'm of the opinion that could happen as soon as 2026, some people think 2027. But if the league does go to 18 games, they are actually allowed a total of 6 dual practices during training camp. Because as we know, if they go to 18 games, the preseason's going to be only 2.
Yeah.
Now, right now, they are allowed a total of 4 dual practices, but they can go up to 6 if they get to 18 games. These dual practice sessions, I'll be honest, folks, these are going to be the norm.
Yeah.
Soon.
But that they get more out of it as in the starters. The starters get so much more out of these dual practices because they're actually taking reps against other starters. You get to preseason now, how much do the starters actually play?
That's the way the coaches play it because they're so scared of injury.
It's important because there's not just 22 guys on a team,
so what's
11-11.
Is you're going to have someone in the NFL office, because right now you have friendly coaches who know each other, and they say, hey, you want to come up?
Yeah.
We'll go to your place next year.
Yeah.
And there's an understanding because like Dable and Campbell work together with the Dolphins. And so they're friends. They got together and they did this. All right, but here's the problem. You only have so many friends in the league.
Yeah.
Where you can have that understanding and the mutual agreements of what do we want to work on, how are we going to keep things under control, we have mutual respect for each other, we're going to make sure guys don't get hurt or whatever the case may be. There is a cooperation between these guys because they're friendly. Well, if you have the whole league now doing these kinds of practices, the league is going to have to get involved in scheduling these things because you only have so many tight buddies that you can schedule with.
Yeah.
You're not going to have enough. So it's going to change the whole dynamic of these things.
it seems like it's coincided with the preseason opponent. Then, so the Lions are playing the Giants this week.
Yes.
Well, no doubt,
Yeah.
because of the travel.
Right, yeah.
The-
That makes
the-
sense.
it's a travel thing.
Yeah, the other thing I like about these is they don't hit the quarterback. In preseason, you
Right.
can hit the quarterback.
Correct.
Yep.
Whereas here you can't.
Yep.
And that's why starting quarterbacks will play more
Right.
of these
I think
things
it's
than
a
they will
great
the
thing.
games.
I think it's a great thing that they do it.
Now the thing is with all these fights breaking out, which again, it's fun for the fan. You know, we get excited about. We love seeing our guys pick up for each other. They're not getting fined possibly by the league for this stuff, whereas in a game they would.
Yep.
That's the other thing. So.
Yep.
Now, just last question, real quick, and it's for Jonathan and Paul as well. But Jonathan, your perspective will help me on this. As I'm looking at cornerback 2, I'm watching highlights and hearing reports from you guys on BBKL, listening to the reporters. I try to eat up and read everything. It seems like Nick McLeod is performing really well. I get that he's an undrafted free agent from years ago. Should he be starting over Flott? And is it a thing, maybe Jonathan, is it a thing where an organization will draft a guy and they kind of hold on to and give that draft pick more leash than a guy who may be outperforming them as an undrafted free agent? I know you were undrafted and you worked hard and you got in and you played a lot. You're a 2-time Super Bowl champ, for Pete's sake. So, is that a thing? Because it seems like Nick McLeod is outperforming Flott, but I'm just, from what I'm seeing at least.
Yeah, I can't. I don't really know because I haven't really paid attention to the cornerbacks to really give my analysis like that because there's no game film right now from this year, of course, and we don't get practice film. Paul, you get practice film?
Not during.
So we're out there
preseason.
trying to watch as much as we can. But there's something to that. Being an undrafted rookie myself, coming into the league, I was 12th on the depth chart. I was so low on the depth chart. Definitely the last one. And, every year that I feel like I've played in the league, maybe my second year in the Giants might have not been like that, but every year I was second or third on the depth chart. And I had to gain and earn, the trust of the defensive coordinator and my linebacker coach. I played for 4 different teams, and I feel like every time I started from almost the bottom, and not that I wasn't a proven player because I was for, 7 years of my career after I played my first couple of years. I was a proven player, but you still had to go out there and earn it, and I truly believe that the best 11 guys are going to be on the field for the Giants. And if that's Flott, it's going to be Flott. If it's McLeod, it's going to be McLeod. But you also have Drew Phillips, too, who they drafted, who I think they think very highly of. And I think he's been performing very well in the preseason. So
He's a slot guy, though.
He's a slot guy.
Not going to be on the mound.
Right. Well, we'll see because you never know. You never know.
Things could change.
What stuff happens, injuries happen, you know what I mean? So I think the kid is going to play at a high level. I think he's showing that he can compete at this level, which is good. And then, McLeod and Flott, we'll see because I think we all know who the cornerback number 1 is. And after that, it's a toss-up. I don't have anything else for you. You know what I mean? Because I really haven't watched those guys specifically. And even that, it's still preseason. There's no games being played. It's all about how you perform when those lights are on. So the season might start off with one cornerback combination, and as the season progresses, it might change. And it probably will change given it's the NFL.
I will say this about Nick McLeod. When he came out of Notre Dame, he was undrafted, and I did not understand why. He had skills. He had measurables. Very desirable player, in my opinion. Turns out, he goes to Buffalo and then comes to the Giants, and he's a heck of a special teams player.
Yep.
I think, number one, they like him as a jack of all trades who can plug a hole in the dam anywhere, and I think they see value in that, keeping him as a key special teams guy and as someone who can give them snaps anywhere on the field in the secondary. I think they see value in having him in that role. I'll say this. Every time he plays, he does good things. Mm-hmm. He's a solid player. He's steady. He's reliable. He doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes. So I'm with you. I'm a Nick McLeod guy. But I also believe that they think he's better suited in terms of value for this team as the special teams guru and the jack of all trades. And then the other part to this is Flott was drafted here to potentially be a possible starter. And the only way you're going to find out if Flott can actually ascend to that level is by allowing him to grow, mature, and to grow into that spot on the boundary. And they really like him a lot. They really like his tools. He has some inconsistencies. Number one, he's been injured a lot in his early career. Number two, out of necessity, he played a bunch of snaps in the slot early in his career, which is not where he is best suited. His skill set is better for the boundary. Now they've got him focusing on the boundary. And if he can hone in on his consistency, he's going to be fine out there. And you won't have to worry about somebody else trying to take that spot. But he's got to grow. And the only way he's going to grow and mature is to play. So that maybe answers the question too. I hope so.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate the insights. And ideally, heck, I want them both to be great.
Yeah.
But,
nothing wrong with that.
And how it's a competition, and we got the best guys will play. So appreciate your time, guys. Talk to you later.
Have a great day. 201-939-4513 is our number here on Big Blue Kickoff Live. We got a wise guy from the crowd wants to know about some of the quarterback pressures the Giants gave up today during the course of the day. Yeah, well, here's the problem, though. We broke it down by sections and how check mark by sections, and then we gave them an overall grade. So if you're paying attention more to one particular section and you see that maybe the grade is a little bit different for that one section, fine. But now how do you interpret it for the whole day? For the whole day, I give the Giants a split decision. He gave the Lions a split decision, which tells you how close it was.
Yeah.
It means nobody really had that decisive, unanimous decision where all three judges had it on the scorecards, 11 rounds to 2. Or 11, I mean, that's just not the case.
What did you think about, because this is my first time really getting eyes on the kickoff and kickoff return.
Well, they cut the kickoff return short because of the one little fracas. The Giants were on kickoff return, and Olszewski took one to the house. That's a positive.
Yeah, it just.
But I don't think that we saw enough because they only did a few of them, and then they had to stop.
But did you see? I don't know if you saw this, but the Lions, they're putting their running back at returner.
Yeah,
they're putting Gibbs back there,
yeah.
And I knew, like, with the whole how it's set up now with basically everybody offensively and defensively, returner and coverage, they're like close, so there's not going to be as many lanes. It's as close as a run play.
That's why people think it's best for
to put a running back back there. And then also on the coverage side of it, I like my tight ends. I love my tight ends, but I think this is going to be a little bit more linebacker heavy. And now you got to start paying attention to rosters. Those last few guys on the rosters, are they going to be wide receivers or are they going to be linebackers? Because of kickoff. That the kickoff might change how rosters are built now.
Or running backs too.
And running backs too. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think the advantage right now, though, as before the 2024 season kicks off, I think the advantage is to the kick return team, to the kick returners.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's a new thing. The kickoffs and the defensive-minded guys that are covering, they don't really know how to handle it quite. This is all new. These are all new things. So kickoff has been absolved basically for the last, 4 years? With the new rules.
They're down to under 22% returns on kickoffs.
That's going to be probably flipped the other way.
They're hoping now to get it over 30%.
Oh, they're going to be a lot more than that.
Well, that's what they're telling us now. We just had a meeting with the NFL. They're saying they want to get it now over 30% returns with the new rules.
It's going to be a lot more than that. But that's what we want. Look, I'm a special team guy. I never want a kickoff to get taken away. I don't like all the big collisions that happen in kickoff, but it's football, guys.
I know.
And I understand we're making it safe, but special teams is a huge part of this game.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just the kicker making field goals. Now they're trying to bring kickoff back, and you talk about a guy like a Devin Hester. Devin Hester would have not made it to the Hall of Fame like he did recently if it wasn't for kickoff returns and punt returns.
29 offensive touchdowns, I believe he had in his career.
His record was against me. It was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I wasn't blocked, and I missed them. And then I'm looking like, it's Devin Hester.
Were you posterized?
Yes.
I'm
You'd see me like this, reaching.
Oh.
He was running so fast, Paul.
Oh.
But they're bringing that return aspect back to the game, which is good.
And we saw a number of Giants running backs and receivers all back there.
Yep.
I mean, look, Dante Miller, I've said it before, Dante Miller every time seems to flash, and he also handles kickoff return.
Turbo.
This is a lane for him
Mm-hmm.
to kind of wedge his way into
Solidify,
the 53.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
He could do it.
I like it.
Quickly, Run or Walk with Giants Legends. The Giants Foundation will host a 5K race and kids run presented by Quest on Saturday, September 7th at 9 a.m. at MetLife Stadium. Net proceeds will benefit the Giants Foundation. All participants will receive a commemorative T-shirt after the race. Stay for a post-race festival with appearances by Giants legends and a live DJ. Register now at giants.com/5K. Giants Huddle Podcast, Giants and NFL luminaries all over there with long-form interviews. Don't forget to check it out on podcast platforms everywhere and at giants.com/podcasts. Giants season ticket memberships are available for the 2024 season. To learn more all about exclusive member benefits, visit giants.com/tickets. And Giants TV is the free Giants mobile app. You can get all kinds of highlights here from training camp. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app. That takes care of today's announcements, and we now go to Maurice. You are next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen? How we doing?
Good to talk to you.
What's up, Maurice?
Hey, what's going on? So, look, I was going to talk about Nick McLeod being the number 2 guy, but I heard you guys discussed it already. Like, I truly feel like that. I felt like that for a while. And so I really had nothing to talk about outside of that, but I was just sitting here and I was thinking. So I said, you know what? One thing came to my mind. Eli Manning, right? Isn't he eligible this year?
He is.
For the Pro Football
He
Hall of
is.
Fame?
He will be eligible
Now-
for the next class coming up. That is correct. And by the way, he is the only quarterback of the first-time eligibles that's on the list.
Oh, wow.
Which might make it a little easier because the people in the room, as they start comparing candidates, they're not going to have any quarterbacks to try to wrestle against him. That could make his job a little easier to get in.
Okay, so guys, I'll leave you with this. Off the air, I want to hear you guys out of all of the eligible people. I'm not sure how many folks are chosen, how many players are chosen. Maybe it's 5, maybe 6. But let's see what you guys can come up with in terms of this class specifically. It's got some good players in there, but let's go Eli. I hope Eli gets in. That's pretty much all I got.
All right. I want to look at the list.
Appreciate the time. Yeah, if you want to call up the 2025 class that's eligible, by all means, go take a look at that. The Hall of Fame is voted by the committee, which is made up of writers in each city. Then there's a kind of a senior committee, and then there's some luminaries that are on it. It's a very political process. I don't want to get too deep into it because I don't necessarily agree with all their selections. I think there's a number of guys who have been made to wait much longer than they should have. And I still think there are a bunch of guys who are in there who are kind of borderline, and then guys who are not in there who should be in there. I mean, let's just say this. I'm absolutely in concrete Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. Now, if you want to argue whether or not he should be first ballot, Major League Baseball makes a big deal out of a first ballot Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. By the way, our number is 201-939-4513. If you'd like to get in, we still have a few minutes if you'd like to sneak in a phone call. MLB makes that first ballot Hall of Famer a very, very, very big deal. Okay? It's a prestige thing. It's not as big a deal in the NFL if you're a first ballot guy. But there are those people who are anti-Eli Manning who are like, well, he'll never be a first ballot guy. All right, fine. You want to make him wait a year? Fine. But there is nobody who's even getting 10 seconds of my time if they say that Eli Manning is not a Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's not even a conversation.
The real question, the only question is he first ballot? That's the real question.
For those who think that matters.
Right.
Because there is no conversation to be had. It's a statement. Eli Manning is a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Absolutely.
End of story. There is no conversation. There's no debate on this.
Yep.
None.
No, I don't think so at all.
First-time guys, who'd you see?
The names are interesting.
Who'd you see?
First-time eligible, you got Eli Manning, Terrell Suggs, Marshawn Lynch, Earl Thomas, Aqib Talib, Adam Vinatieri, Luke Kuechly, and Marshall Yanda. That's a good list, and it's so crazy because now these names are becoming. I play with all these guys. You know, everybody that went into the Hall of Fame, Andre Johnson, Devin Hester, I played against those guys. So I know
you helped Hester.
Oh, stop! Sheesh. So out of this list.
Now remember, there was between 4 and 9.
Okay.
That can go in every year, between 4 and 9.
Out of this list, I say there's one guy that I 100% know. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. It has to be Adam Vinatieri. I think it has to be him.
I have no problem with that.
The points he scored, the kicks that how many rings that he has.
And clutch.
Like if you're going to put a kicker in, he has to be in there.
He has to be the guy.
Pearson, without a doubt.
You know, he has to be the guy. And then I look at somebody like Terrell Suggs, who's played, 16, 17 years for one team, got his team a Super Bowl. He's like, one of the leaders in sacks.
Well,
he was
it's a solid list.
He was a defensive player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of those, now the accolades start to matter. It's like sometimes when you look at somebody's body of work and maybe they were snubbed for the Pro Bowl a few times or never was voted All-Pro, but you're like, man, he had a great career.
Mm-hmm.
Now they start adding up the accolades, I think. I think the accolades start to add up when you start looking at the Hall of Fame. What did he do? Was he a Pro Bowler? Was he an All-Pro? How many times? How many sacks? Like you start adding the numbers up, and the numbers. I think the numbers start speaking a little bit more when you start considering this. I don't know how they vote and what it's based on.
Honestly, this will surprise you. The vote they get ready for the names, and when the committee gets into the room, they select the writer from that NFL city. So in the case of New York, they'll select the New York representative. In this case, I'm not sure now. The New York representative, I believe Gary Myers is one of them, and he used to work for the Daily News. And I believe Bob Glauber from Newsday is also on the committee representing New York. And they're asked, okay, make the case. You saw him. You saw him every week. Make the case to everybody else in the room why that guy should be. And it's up to that writer, okay? He's got to come up with a creative discussion. I'm not going to say debate, but a creative discussion as to the guy's traits and why he belongs. I've been told that a lot of times in that room, some of these guys, these selectors or these presenters, they're called presenters, will present a guy's stats. And immediately other people in the room get turned off. Because, you're just giving me stats. What do you have? When Harry Carson finally got in, and this is one of my huge problems with the Hall of Fame, it took Harry Carson forever to get in, which was one of the biggest jokes I've ever seen. Harry Carson was as good a first ballot as you could get. When Harry he's on the all-time 100 list for the Hall of Fame. NFL Network and the Hall of Fame did that list, and he's on that list. So, why did it take him so long to get in? It's a bunch of garbage.
Yeah.
Well, when Harry Carson came up, Vinny DiTrani, the Bergen record, was a part of this. He pushed for Harry Carson. Peter King, longtime NFL writer / broadcaster, pushed hard for Harry Carson. And what they did, they went and they got a bunch of stories from Carson's contemporaries, guys who played offensive line against the Giants when Harry Carson was playing. And they got some of their stories saying, holy crap. When we went up to play the Giants, okay, we know about Lawrence Taylor, but you did not want to run headfirst into Harry Carson.
Yeah.
You did not want to worry about him shooting a gap. You did not want to see what he was going to do to your running back between the tackles. And those stories were some of the stories that helped the committee actually say, you know what? Yeah, these guys played against him, and these stories that they're relaying, okay, he goes.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's awesome. That's dope.
That's the way it works.
I would love somebody to write a story about me, try to pitch me in. Oh, they ain't going to do it.
Well, I'm not on the committee. I can't help you.
But can we at least start with Eli Manning? Because we're not talking about numbers per se. It's more about accomplishments and what you've done when you were in the league and what you accomplished and things that you've done.
Eli's one of those guys who, if you saw him every week, you appreciated him more.
Right, yeah.
Than just looking at stats.
I agree. Am I plugged in?
So.
Okay.
Anyway.
The first thing, though, has to say beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl. That has to be number one.
Well,
Has to be number one, right?
I mean,
Right, Pearson? That's number one.
you want to.
And then everything else is in fine print.
I can't, And again, in a game where so many people are injured, especially quarterbacks, for Eli Manning to do what he did, for the amount of time he did over the course of time, and behind some bad offensive lines,
Yeah.
which got him pummeled time and time again, how could you not give him extra credit?
Yeah.
Even if his accomplishments weren't enough, and I believe they are slam dunk. But even if you didn't want to give him enough on his accomplishments, how could you not take his durability into account?
I mean, that has to be up there too.
How could you not?
Yeah. I agree.
Folks, that'll do it for this edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live. Tomorrow, the Giants are off. We'll be back, of course, at 1 o'clock Eastern Time with another live hour of the program at 201-939-4513. The Giants and Lions will then play on Thursday night. Kickoff, Pearson, is 7 o'clock. Preseason game action here at MetLife Stadium and the opener for both teams. Then, of course, the teams will be off again on Monday and back to the practice field on Saturday. For Jonathan Casillas, I'm Paul Dottino. You've been watching Big Blue Kickoff Live presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. We'll see you next time.